Carver Commodore is a rock band from Florence, Alabama, here in the U.S. My name is Payton, and I play guitar and I sing.
My name is Phillip, and I play guitar.
My name is Noah, and I play drums.
My name is Clayton. I play keys, guitars, percussion, and I sing background vocals.
Okay, so I'll dissect these genres a little bit more. Indie. A lot of things get lumped into this category, but I think we still fit. There's a certain mood or swagger that goes along to it. I think that Stars and Galaxies definitely fits into this category. But at its root, it means you're independent, which we are most definitely independent. Garage. It's abrasive, it's fuzzy, it's lo-fi, sometimes it's chaotic, messy. Bands like the White Stripes, Iggy Pop, we definitely incorporate those elements into our music as well. And you can hear it on songs like Black Plastic. Pop music, another thing that we definitely incorporate there. These songs are more accessible in nature. They have big choruses, catchy hooks, relatable lyrics and stories. A lot of bands don't want to be labeled as a pop band, but really it is something that we're not afraid of. We like for our songs to be known and sang by other people. Sometimes it's really hard to categorize yourself, and I usually just end up saying that we're an alternative rock band because we're a little bit different and we like to rock. And that's okay as long as we don't get compared to Imagine Dragons, but that's already happened before.
Music for me is just how I express myself, my emotions, how I'm feeling. It helps me cope with life. It brings me hope at times, and it inspires me.
So our songwriting process usually starts with me making demos on GarageBand or Logic, whether it's from an idea that I had, like a riff idea that I had recorded on my phone, or a little lyric idea that I had down on my notes. I'll make a demo out of it, and it could be like a full song that's completely, almost ready to go, or it could be like half a song idea, or it could literally just be one riff or one section of a song. So then we'll get together and we'll try to bounce ideas off each other in person, and then we go from there and go record it in the studio.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I remember being excited to have new music out there. This was the first thing we ever released as a band, and it was also the first time somebody ever wrote about our music. There was a small publication in Nashville that premiered the music video and the song the day before. So we were pretty jazzed up. Now when we recorded this song, it was actually with our old lineup. Those guys were awesome and we had a good time. But a few years later, Noah and Clayton would step in to take their places. So in that respect, the band has changed. And it really wasn't successful until 2018. One day I logged on to the Spotify for Artists app and was just going through and checking, stats and followers and all that stuff. And I noticed a spike in plays, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit. 11,000 plays in one day didn't seem right. But it turns out that people have been sharing and liking and listening to the song for a good year, and it really just spread around, and Spotify picked up on it. So it was now making its way all around the world, which was huge. And to this day, that song still is a way that people get introduced to our music, and it's still racking up plays on Spotify, which was just awesome. So if you want to know more about that song, Payton actually has a really cool video that goes in depth of the history and the music behind Stars and Galaxies. It's on YouTube if you want to check it out.
So for the recording process for Tell Me What You Want, I remember that Payton was actually the only official member of Carver back then. He had written all the songs and made demos for them. And I remember we had a day or two of pre-production, and that's just when you get in the room together and you make any changes to the songs that you want to. That way the studio time just goes by quicker. And it did. We were only in the studio for 9 days, and the album was done after that. We still waited a year to put it out, and unfortunately we didn't play that many shows after the album came out. But I can say that once we did release the album, I noticed at shows people were starting to know more of our songs. They were singing along, they were dancing, and it was a good time. We can't wait to play more shows in the future.
It's been super fun to kind of put our spin on other artists' work. You had the Beatles, legends, and you have Billy, who's a legend, easily on her way to becoming a legend. So it's just, super cool to have our take on these songs out in the world.
So in the beginning of 2020, we took a couple of months off, and then in March, we were supposed to start like a 2-month run of shows. It was it was a lot of shows. And then it all got canceled. COVID knocked everybody off their feet. So it was a pretty depressing moment. But do not do well just sitting around. I get bored very easily. So I was like, hey, we have to do something. We got to be productive in this time if we can. And the rest of the guys felt the same way. So we went into the studio in March and recorded 5 songs. And then we went back in May and recorded 5 more songs. And then, the rest of the year we just kept going back, had, sessions the whole year. We just had something to look forward to because we just kept recording songs, and we wrote a few more songs in that time as well. So by the end of the year, we had recorded like 17 songs. We'd finished the album and maybe, an EP as well. So it was just a great distraction. But it was also something that I feel like was meaningful, and I feel like we actually had the time to like work on these songs and really give them the attention that they deserve, and honestly the attention that we couldn't give on the first record because we didn't really have that much free time. So it ended up being a good year to make an album, and a bad year to do pretty much anything else.
I'm not really sure what our best show has ever been. I'm sure that answer would change per member. But I know a special show for me was when we released our song, Tell Me What You Want. It was a Friday, and we played a hometown show in Florence, Alabama. I remember when we started the song, kids were looking around and started jumping up and down from excitement. And they were singing the entire song, which blew my mind because the song had just released hours earlier. And it was really nice to know that people actually cared and they were listening to the music that we were making. And it's something I won't forget.
So obviously we're not like this huge popular band, and we don't have this major success story or anything, but we do have successes and failures like anybody, any artist or anybody that's got a business does have. On the success end, we've gotten to do a lot of cool stuff since our first album came out. On the day that we released Tell Me What You Want, we got to play Audio Tree Live in Chicago, a session there, and then we also got to announce that we were part of the Taco Bell Feed the Beat thing, and they gave us a bunch of free food and added us to their artist roster. And we got to make a really cool music video for that song. And honestly, the biggest success that we have is just having fans that are willing to support us and buy our merch and listen to our music even when we can't go out and tour, during COVID. That's probably the biggest success. And on the failure end, every failure kind of comes with a lesson. So it's hard to say that we would get rid of any, or like go back and erase any big failures, because we did learn a good lesson from a lot of them. But the one thing I would change, if I could, I would go back to myself when I was like 19 or 20 and just say like, hey man, stop waiting around to like do everything that you're doing. Just go ahead and do it now. Find people to do it with, and hopefully I would find these guys that I'm doing it with now to do Carver Commodore with. But we kind of waited until we did a few bands and a few genres of music that we really didn't care about that much before we were finally like, okay, let's do what we've been wanting to do this whole time. Let's be like this indie rock band. So yeah, I mean, that would be the one thing I would change, is to go back and say, go for it. Don't wait around anymore.
We would love to collaborate with Colony House. I think I speak for everyone in the band when I say that. We've all been huge fans of their music for a long time. They're super great dudes, and yeah, I just think we'd have a lot of fun on the road together.
If we're daydreaming here, Jimi Hendrix, without a doubt. I know it's probably a common answer for guitar players especially, but the man did revolutionize electric guitar and was really thinking outside the box for his time. And I've watched a lot of old interviews of Jimi Hendrix too, and he just seems like he's a really cool guy to talk to. I think you'd have a good conversation with him. And of course, maybe he could show me some of his licks and tricks because, man, I wish I could play like him. And I would want to know everything about Woodstock because, man, that place was a mess, but it was a beautiful mess, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything will have to change just to adjust to everything that COVID messed up, honestly. The industry will have to change the way that it's doing things. I mean, it had to change in the 2000s, going from record labels to streaming. And I think this is just going to be another change that it has to make to survive. But I think it will make that change and it will survive. And, there's going to be stuff in the next year or two that we never thought would happen, I'm sure. And music in general is probably going to change as well. People are going to be writing about this for a long time. I mean, our new record is like that. We were writing about the things that were happening all last year as we were making this record. So, yeah, and I mean, also think that really good things are going to come out of it. I hope that people value going to concerts more than they did before and don't take that for granted. And maybe they're willing to pay more than like $5 to go see a local show. I think that'll be one of the big things that can change coming out of this. Because, I mean, it's been $5 to get into a show since the 80s. So it's definitely time that we value music a little bit more than we have been. So I hope that's one good thing that comes out of it.
So in 2021, you can expect a lot more music from us coming this year, a lot more music videos, and just more Carver Commodore in general.
All right, 5 things you may not know about Carver Commodore. Here we go. Number 1, we have an alter ego band called the Pontiac Sunfires, just like the car. And they only come out to play 90s country music. You might can find them on Spotify. Do some digging and let me know what you get. Number 2, we have a diss track on our first album. What's the song about? Who's the song about? What's the name of the song? I don't know. Number 3, we love to eat. We're foodies, I guess you could say. We like to try stuff while we're on the road. We like to cook stuff while we're at home. We even have a little cooking channel on YouTube, so go check that out. Give us recommendations on stuff to try and stuff to make and stuff to eat, and we will do it. Number 4, we're dog people. So Payton has a shepherd named Ben. Noah has a boxer named Winnie. I have a teeny tiny little chihuahua named Phoebe. And Clayton, well, he's got a roommate named Chris. That's all. And then 5, last but not least, you probably would have guessed this, but we have new music on the way. And that's not much of a secret at this point, but feel free to ask us questions about that. And we also really like to engage with you guys on social media, so let us know if you want to know anything, and we look forward to connecting with you in the future.